Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be solving a few profit and loss questions from the current Mudde book in this session. I would appreciate if you pause the video, solve them on their own and then look for the solution in this. I'll try skipping a few steps in between because writing everything on the rough sheet in the exam hall is definitely going to kill a lot of your time. So let's dive into the session. The mark price of an article is 315. It is sold for 288. If there is a loss of 4%, then by what percentage above the cost is the article marked? Loss is 4%. So the ratio of CP to SP is going to be 25 to 24. This corresponds to 288, which is 12 times. So the CP is going to be 250 plus 50 is 300. Mark price is 15 above 300, so which is basically 5%. Ram bought an article for 1240 and sold it at a loss of 25%. With this amount, she bought another article and sold it at a gain of 40%. His overall profit percentages. Initially, Ram bought it for 1240, sold it for a loss of 25%. With this money, he again bought another article and sold it at a gain of 40%. Here you can use the successive percentages formula. So it is going to be minus 25 plus 40 minus 25 into 40 by 100, which is 15 minus 10 is 5. Anu allows a 20% discount on the mark price of an article and still makes a profit of 25%. If she gains rupees 44.8 on the sale of the article, then the cost price of the article is. Here there is nothing to do with the first part of the question. So she's making a profit of 25%. So CP to SP is 4:5. And here the profit is 1 unit. And they've given that this is equal to 44.8. You need to find out the cost price, which is 4 units. 4 into 44.8 is 179.2. Abhi bought 2 articles for 624. He sold one at a loss of 14% and the other at a profit of 14%. If the selling price of both the articles is equal, then the difference between their cost prices is. Since the selling price is equal, you can directly equate the selling prices. So 86% of X equal to 114% of Y. 43, this is 57. So X by Y is 57 by 43. The sum of this is 100, which is given that is it's equal to 6.24. So if 100 is 624, 1 unit is going to be 6.24. We need the difference between their cost prices, which is 14 units. So 14 into 6.24, going by the unit digit, this is the answer. Some fruits are bought at a rate of 11 for rupees 100 and equal number at a rate of 9 for rupees 100. If all the fruits are sold at a rate of 10 for rupees 100, then what is the gain or the loss percentage in the entire transaction? If the numbers are different in if two different sets are given and the numbers are different, for us to calculate the profit and loss, it is easier. Like if we equate the numbers of both the sets. For example, here we have 11 in the first set and 9 in the first set. It's better to equate. And since 11 and 9, like in between 11 and 9, there is no common factor. So we just multiply both of that. In the first set, you can multiply with 9 and you get 99 for 900. And in the second set, you multiply with 11, you get 99 for 1100. If you add these two, the resultant price is 198 for 2000 rupees. But they are sold at 10 for rupees 100. So, if you have to find the profit or loss, again equate this number to this. To equate 10 to 198, you have to multiply by 19.8. So it's going to be 198. And if you multiply this by 19.8, it's going to be 1980. So the difference is 20. 20 by 2000 into 100 is going to be 1% loss. A person sold 25 articles for rupees 2,500 and incurred a loss of 10%. How many articles should he sell for 2400 to make a profit of 20%? Since he sold 25 articles for 2500, the selling price of one article is 100. The selling price of one article is going to be 100. And this is basically 9/10 of the CP. So in order to find the CP, you multiply that with 10 by 9. So this is the CP of every article. So the question is, how many articles should you be selling for 2400 to make a profit of 20%? Since the required SP should be 20% above the CP. So 20% is 1 by 5. So 6 by 5. This is going to be the SP of single article. We have to find the number of articles, and this is equal to 2400. You cancel this. 6 4s, 24, 5 2s, and equal to 18. A person sells an article at a profit of 12%. If he had purchased it for 12% less and sold it for rupees 9 less, he would have gained 27%. What is the cost price of the article? Let's say the initial CP is 100, he sold it for 112. He had purchased it for 12% less and sold it for 9 less. So this is going to be minus 9 rupees. He would have gained 27%. The 27% gain is on this reduced price. So plus 27%. So the resultant price is going to be minus 12 plus 27 minus 12 into 27 by 100, which is 15 minus 240, 84, 3.24, which is 11.76. So the final profit is going to be 11.76. So the resultant here, if you take 100 as CP, is 111.76. So the difference, which is 0.24, is equivalent to 9 rupees. We need what 100 is equal to. If you multiply this by 6, if you divide both of these by 6 and multiply with 100, you're going to get 4 and 150. So to get 100, you have to multiply this with 25, which will give us 3750. Two articles are sold for 9,720 each. On one, the seller gains 8%, and on the other, he loses 10%. What is his overall gain or loss percentage? So 8% is basically, so 25 is to 27, since he gains 8%. And on the other, he loses 10%. So this is 10, 9. Since both of the selling prices are equal, we can multiply this by 3. So you get 30 and 27. We know this 27 units corresponds to 9720. So the value of each unit is going to be 27 3s 81, 162, 27 6s is going to be 360. If we add both the CP and SP, the sum of CPs is 55 units and that of SP is 54 units. We know the difference is 1 unit, which we have already calculated it to be equal to 360 units. And since this is a loss, it's 360 loss. A vendor bought 40 dozens of fruits for 2,400. Out of these, 30 fruits were rotten and thrown away. At what rate per dozen should he sell the remaining fruits to make a profit of 25%? Since 30 fruits were rotten, that means we have lost 2.5 dozens. So we are left with 37.5 dozens to sell. And we have to make a profit of 25%. So the resultant selling price is going to be 2,400 into 5 by 4. And this is the selling price of how many dozens? 37.5 dozens. So this is 600. Just multiply 10 on both sides. This is how much, guys? 575s, 15 5s, 400, and this is 80. The shopkeeper marks his goods at 25% above the cost price. He sells 3/4 of his goods at the market price and the remaining at 40% discount on the market price. So ratio is 3:1. This he sells 25% above the cost price. And this is going to sell at 25 minus 40 minus 25 into 40 by 100, which is going to be minus 15 minus 10, which is minus 25%. So the resultant percentage is 75 minus 25 by 4, which is 50 by 4, a profit of 12.5%. Or we can use a slightly different method in order to solve the same question, which is to find out the resultant discount in the first place and then solve it. So for the first three parts of the goods, discount is going to be 0%, and for the remaining one part, discount is 40%. So the resultant discount is going to be 0 minus 40 by 4, which is minus 10%. We know the price of the goods is marked by 25% high, and you get a discount of 10%. So 15 minus 2.5 is going to be 12.5% of profit. A bought 38 kilo of rice at 54.5, 45 kilos at 62, and 55 kilos at 48. He sold the mixture at 65. His loss or profit percentages. In such questions, you have to find the average cost price and then you have to subtract it from the selling price. So in order to find the average cost price, you have to multiply the volume with the price. Here, multiplying 38 with this is going to be really difficult. So let's approximate that to 40, since the options are like decently far away from each other, so we can easily consider that as 40. So this is going to be 40, 45 and 55. While calculating averages, it's the ratio that matters the most rather than the absolute quantities. So you can cancel out these and you can convert this into the simplest possible ratios. So this is going to be 8, 9 and 11 if you divide by 5. So now we can start multiplying this. 850 is 400, 436, 3, 436 plus 540 plus 18 is 558 plus 440 plus 88 is 528 by 28. So this is going to be 22, 2, 5 plus 5, 10 plus 12, 2, 1, 5 plus 5, 10 plus 15, 22 by 28. 28 5s 140, 28 4s is 112, 10 0. 54.3 is the resultant price. If you subtract it from 65, since we sold it at 65, the profit is going to be 10.7. So in order to find the profit percentage, you multiply with 100. It's clear that 107 goes approximately 5 times here. So it is somewhere less than 20, which is going to be 19.6. Three partners A, B and C share profit and losses in the ratio 3:4:7. If the profit of the year before charging 30% tax is 1,10,166, what is B's share of profit after the tax? Normally, B's share of profit is normally going to be 4 by 14 part of whatever profit they get. But since they get to distribute only 70% of the profits that are available because they have to pay 30% tax, they only get 7 by 10th of it. So you multiply that with the profit. So it's clear from this itself that this is going to be the answer. A manufacturer sells the product to a wholesaler at 6% profit. The wholesaler sells the product to a retailer at 8% profit, and the retailer sells the product to his customer at 10% profit. The price paid by the customer is 31,482. The cost of the product to the manufacturer is. So if we assume the cost of the product of the manufacturer is X, and since he sold to the wholesaler at a profit of 6%, this is going to be 53 by 50. Since the wholesaler sold to the retailer at 8% profit, this is going to be 27 by 25. And since the retailer sold it at a profit of 10%, it is going to be 11 by 10. Okay, so 11, 2 is 22, 9, 11, 8, 4, 22, 9. Did I go wrong anywhere? 9, 6, and 6, 6, 2. Great. 27, 6, okay. 27, 1 is 27, and this is 162. 27, 6, great, 106. 53 twos. No, just directly multiply. X equal to 25,000. A sells 12 bicycles at a profit of 516 per cycle and sells 3 bicycles at a loss of rupees 129 per bicycle. If the total profit on all the bicycles sold is 15%, the cost price per bicycle is. Here initially let us find out the total profit or loss. Here, so you multiply 12 with 516, 6192, 329 is 87, 350, 58. We know that this is 15% of the total cost price, since this is the profit. We need to find out 100% of this. So you divide this by 3 and multiply this with 20, 3 19s, 3, 5. And since this is the cost price of 15 bicycles, we have to find out the cost price of each bicycle. 5 3s, 5 4s, 3 6. This is the answer. An article is sold for 6,500 so as to earn a profit of 4%. A second article whose cost price is 3,750 is sold at a loss of 4%. What is the overall gain or loss percentage in the whole transaction? So in the first case, he sold it at a profit of 4%. So 25, 26. This 26 corresponds to 650. So what will 25 correspond to? 13 2s, 13 500 to 250. Okay, so 25 into 250 is 6250. This is the CP of the first article. And for the second article, the CP is 3750. Instead of finding out individual profits and then dividing it by the sum, it is better to find the ratio of these two and then find the average profit or the loss percentage. So if you find out the ratio of this two, this is 25 25s and this is 25 15s. Okay, 25 5 5 5 3s. So this is sold at a profit of 4% and this at a loss of 4%. So the resultant profit or loss is going to be 20 minus 12 by 8. This is 1% profit. He sold an article on 15% profit for 14.95. He purchased another article having cost price equal to the first article. He sold this article at 10% profit. What is the total profit of A? So if he sold this at 15%, this is equal to 23 units. 3 is 8 30. Okay, so this is 23 6 138, so 5. Okay, this is 65 times. So if you multiply this with 60, the CP is 1300. So for the first article, the profit is 195. Since he sold the second article at 10% profit, so it is 130 and the resultant is 325. An article is sold for rupees X. If it is sold for 33 1/3% of this price, there is a loss of 20%. What is the percentage of profit when it is sold for rupees X? let's say in the second case, there is a loss of 20%. So if this is 5, which is CP, the SP in the second case is 4. We know that this is 1/3 of our initial SP because it is sold at the second SP is 1/3 of this price. So this is going to be 12. The percentage of profit, since this is X, what is the percentage of profit? The profit is going to be 7 by 5 into 100, which is 140. Radha marks her goods 25% above the cost price. She sells 35% of the goods at market price, 40% at 15% discount, and the remaining at 20% discount. What is her overall percentage gain? So here, let us find out the resultant discount initially. So 35% of the goods she sells at the market price, so discount is going to be 0. 40% at 15% discount, and the remaining, which is basically 25% at 20% discount. So the resultant discount is going to be, so here we can just 5 7s, 5 8s, 5 5s. So 120 plus 100 by 20. So the discount is 11%. So if you have to find the overall percentage gain, we know the goods are marked by 25% and the discount is 11%. So this is 14 minus 2.75, which is going to be 11.25. An article is sold at a certain price. If it is sold at 1/3 of this price, 33 1 by 3% is basically 1/3. So if it's sold at 1/3 of this price, there is a loss of 1/3. What is the percentage profit when it is sold at 60% of the original selling price? So in the second case, there is a loss of 1/3. So if CP is 3, we can consider the second SP to be 2. So since this is 1/3 of the first SP is basically 6. So he wants to find the profit when it is sold at 60% of this original selling price, which is 3 by 5. 18 by 5 is 3.6 and 0.6 is the profit. So it's basically 20%. An article is sold at a certain price. If it is sold at 80% of this price, then there will be a loss of 10%. What is the percentage profit when the article is sold at the original selling price? In the second case, the loss is 10%. So if you take CP to be 10, the second SP is 9. But we know the second SP is 80% of the first SP. So if you have to find this, since 80% is 4 by 5, to find this, you just multiply this with 5 by 4. So you have to find the profit at this number. So which is basically 45 by 4, 11.25. If you make this as 100 and this is 112.5, it is going to be 12.5% profit. By selling 2 articles for rupees 800, a person gains the cost price of 3 articles, the profit percentages. Okay, in this question, this is not needed. Since on selling 2 articles, he gains the cost price of 3 articles, the gain is going to be 3C, which is basically 3 times the cost price. And we know the cost price of the 2 articles is 2C. The answer is going to be 150%. Oh, I think there's no option, but 150 is the answer. A man sells his goods at a certain price, 20% of profit. If the price at which he buys the goods increases by 10% and he sells them at 8% higher, then what will be his profit percentage? So here the initial CP is 100. He sold this at 20% profit, so at 120. He increases this by 10%, so this is 110, and this by 8%. So 1.28 is 9.6, 129.6. So the profit here is 19.6 out of 110. 11 ones, 11 8, 11 sevens. So this is the answer. 35% of the goods were sold at a profit of 65%. while the remaining, which is basically 65%, were sold at a loss of X percentage. The overall loss here is 12%. So let's break this into the simplest ratios, 7 and 13. So the resultant percentage profit or loss is 420 plus 35 is 455 minus 13x by 20. So 13x is going to be 455 plus 240, which is 5965 134,360 134 something 53.5. A shopkeeper allows 18% discount on the market price of an article and still makes a profit of 23%. If he gains 18.4 on the sale of the article, then what is the market price of the article? So here, since he's making a profit of 23%, 100, this is the SP, this is the CP, and we know there is 18% discount. So 18% is basically 9 by 50, so it's 41 by 50. So in order to get the market price, you multiply this with 50 by 41, so which is 150. It is given that the gain is 18.4 rupees. So if 23 units is 18.4, 1 unit is going to be 0.6. Sorry, 0.8. So we need the price of 150 units, which is going to be 120. 3 articles are brought at 200 each. One of them is sold at a loss of 10%. If the other 2 articles are sold as to gain 20% of the whole transaction, then what is the gain percent on the 2 articles? One is sold at a loss of 10%. We need to find the total gain, which is 20%. So 60 plus 10 is 70, so X equal to 35. The total cost price of 2 articles is 2000. One of them is sold at a profit of 12% and the other at a loss of 12%. The overall gain in the transaction is 1.2%, the cost price of the article for which there was a profit. Here we can use the method of alligation. One is sold at a profit of 12%, other at a loss of 12%, and the overall gain is 1.2. 12 minus 1.2 is basically 10.8, and this is 13.2. Right? Great. So you have to find the ratio of the CPs, 33, and this is 27, 11 and 9. If 20 corresponds to 2000, the cost price of the article on which there is a profit, which is this, is going to be 1100. Seema purchased a mobile and got 20% discount on it. Had she gotten 25% discount, she would have saved 1000 more. How much did she pay for the mobile? Let's say the initial market price is 100 and she got 20% discount, so she'll have to pay 80 for it. And if she gets 25% discount, which will take that to 75, she would have saved 1000 rupees. So 5 units is equal to 1000. So each unit is going to be equal to 200. And since she have to pay 80, the resultant price that she would have ended up paying is 16,000. I'm sorry guys, this is 16,000. For every 5 rupees worth of revenue, a retailer earns rupees 1. If the cost of the goods was rupees 4,800, then how much did he earn? For 5 rupees worth of revenue, he is earning 1 rupees. So the profit is 1 and the CP is going to be 4. If the cost of the goods was 4,800, so 4 corresponds to 4,800. So each unit is going to be 1,200. Since the gain is 1 unit, so the answer is going to be 1,200. I purchase 100 kg of tea and sell it for a profit to the extent of what I would have paid for 40 kg. What is my profit percent? So here on 100 kg of tea, I have gained 40 kg worth of money. like I've profited. So 40 out of 100 is simple 40%. By selling an article for 1134, Anu suffers as much loss as she would have gained by selling it at 10% as profit. So that means her loss is 10%. If she sells it for 1354.5, then her profit percentages. Since loss is 10%, this is 9/10 of the price. So in order to find the CP, you have to multiply with 10, 10 by 9. So 9 ones are 9, 2, 6. So 1260 is the price. So here the profit is simply 94.5 rupees out of this. So this is how much? 7 point something. A person sold a chair at a profit of 13%. Had he sold it for 607.5 more, he would have gained X percentage. If the cost price of the chair is 3750, then the value of X is. So here, if he charged this much more, he would have gained X percentage. Since CP is already given, this extra percentage profit is basically 607.5 by 3750 into 100. So this is basically, how much will this go, guys? 25 5, 25 2s, 4s, 3s, 15 1s, 6.2. We already have our initial profit at 13%. So if you add both of this, 29.2, this is the actual profit percentage. Mangoes are bought at a rate of 10,000 per ton. If 1/3 of the total mangoes are sold at a loss of 4%, then at what percentage should the remaining mangoes be sold so as to gain 30% on the entire transaction? So here one part of the mangoes we are selling it at a loss of 4%, and the other two parts we have to find it out. So the resultant profit or loss percentage is going to be calculated by this way. And this is given, the required gain is 30%. So 94, so we need 47% profit on the mangoes. So if it's 10,000 per ton, 47% profit, this is the answer. A person bought an article at 30% discount on its market price. The person then sold it at 30% profit for 427.7. What was the market price of? So he sold it for 427.7, and this is at 30% profit. So this is 13 by 10th of the price for which he bought. So not to get the price at which he bought, you multiply by 10 by 30. And this value is basically a 30% discounted one. So this is 7/10 of the value of the market price. So in order to get the market price, you multiply by 7. Great. 7.7 4 37 is 91. So the answer is 470, guys. A person buys 5 tables and 9 chairs for 15,400. He sells the tables at 10% profit and chairs at 20% profit. If his total profit on selling all the tables and chairs is 2080, what is the cost price of 3 chairs? So in this, let's say if both tables and chairs, if he sells it at 10% profit, he'll only end up with a profit of 1540 rupees. Guys, okay, so now, but the profit is 2080. So he has an extra profit of 540 rupees. Where do you think he got that profit from? It's from this extra 10% profit that he got on the chairs. So if that 10% is equal to 540, the price of the chairs is going to be 5,400. And since he bought 9 chairs for 5,400, each is going to be 600, and we need the price of 3 chairs, so the answer is 1,800. A sells an article to B at a loss of 20%, B sells it to C at a profit of 12.5%, and C sells it to D at a loss of 8%. D buys it for 248.4, then what is the difference between the loss incurred by A and C? Okay, let's say A gets it for 100, he sells to B at a profit, at a loss of 20 percentage. So B gets it for 80, and B sells to C at a profit of 12.5 percentage. We know 12.5 is 1 by 8. So he sells it for, C gets it for 90, and C sells it to D at a loss of 8 percentage. So 8 percentage of 90 is 77.2. So 90 minus 7.2 is basically 82.8. It's been given that 82.8 corresponds to 248.4, which is basically 3 times. Now the question asks for the difference between the loss incurred by A and C. A incurred 20 rupees loss and C incurred a loss of 7.2. So the total loss is 7.27.2 into 3, 6. Sorry, they ask for the difference, guys. Sorry. 20 and 7.2, 12.8, 38.4. A man sold 2 gifts at 30 each. On one gift he gained 18 percentage, and on the other he lost 18 percentage. What is his overall gain or loss per? So here 18 percentage is basically 9 by 50. So the one on which he gained, the CP is going to be 50 by 59. The one on which he lost, the CP is going to be 50 by 41, because this 30 is basically 41 by 50th of the CP. So in order to find the CP, you have to reciprocate that ratio. So the total SP is 60, and the total CP, there is a bit of calculation involved, guys. So here 1500 by 59, this is 1500 by 41. So 59, it won't be 318, so this will be 32. 59, 6 is going to be too much, so 5 point something, and this will be 41 3s, 123, and 27, 6, 246, 7 is going to be 287, which is going to be too much. So 246 is 24 something. This will be around again 6. So 55, 61.55, 61.6. So this is, here we have some decimal. So by adding these two, we get somewhere around 61.7 something. So the loss is close to 2 rupees. A sells an item at 20% profit. B sells the same at 10% profit to C and receives 1,32,000. Had C purchased the same item from A, he would have spent 5% less than what he spent with B. What profit would have A made? Here, let's say A got this for 100. He sells to B at 20% profit, so 120. B sells to C at 10% profit, so it's 132, and C receives 132,000. So let's say each unit here, each unit is equal to 1,000 rupees. If C would have purchased from A, he would have spent 10% less. 5% less. 10% of this is 13.2, so 5% is going to be 6.6. So he would have resultantly paid 125.4. So the profit that A would have gained here is 25.4 units, which is basically 25,400. Thank you, guys. Keep subscribed to the channel in order to see a lot more of such sessions, and also I'll upload a lot of shorts on important concepts. And if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comments. And also, just give me a feedback of how the session has been in the comments. These are my initial videos, so your feedback is much appreciated. Thank you.